the start list for the women's pair A final. Lane 1, USA. Lane 2, Netherlands. Lane 3, Romania. Lane 4, Australia. Lane 5, Ireland. And Lane 6, Chile.
So qualification done and dusted, just bronze, silver and gold medals. There we see Megan Musnicki, double Olympic champion from Naples, New York, and Alison Russia behind her from West Bend, Wisconsin. There are the two Olympic silver medalists in the women's 4, Inka Cleveling and Veronique Meester in the stroke seat. The Romanians, Ioana Vrincineo and Roxana Ankel. What a season they've had, new into this boat, doubling up in the women's 8. The favourites, Jess Morrison in the bows, Annabelle McIntyre, Olympic champion in the women's 4s, now hoping for gold, back together again in the women's pair. The top Irish women's sweep boat, Afrit Keogh in the bows, Fiona Murta in the stroke seat, bronze medalists from the Tokyo Olympics in the women's 4, now here in the pair. And the wonderful Abraham twins, they're part of quadruplets, Melita in the bow and Tonia in the stroke seat, coached. Fantastic job he's been doing by Bienvenido Front Pinado, South America's finest in the final of the women's pairs.
Well, again, it was quite a long hold there on the start between the attention and the go, but all these crews getting away really smoothly. So we take a quick look at Clevering and Meester from the Netherlands getting away nicely with these Romanians beside them.
The fast-starting Romanians up at 45 strokes per minute, but they're sitting next to the favourites for this race, Morrison and McIntyre, unbeaten this year in the pair.
Yeah, the Australians look fantastic in Lucerne, winning this one, but they're in the centre of the boat in that green boat. As you say, many people's favourites for it, but the Netherlands have gone right out with them on the far side, as have the Americans up there in lane 1.
Yeah, the Netherlands did lead them, I think, in the, was it the semi-final?
Yeah, pushed them the whole way in the semi, the crew from Netherlands. Pretty experienced, looking pretty good over there up on lane 1, staying clean up at the top of the picture.
And those 4 athletes, of course, racing each other at the Tokyo Olympics. Annabelle and Jess taking the gold medal in the women's 4, the Dutch rowers picking up the silver medal in the 4 and now trying their hand at the women's pair.
Yeah, it's a fascinating rematch this is. I must say, I do love the way the Dutch row, very low down, very smooth, very fluid. And this crew coached by the Canadian Michelle Darville, who took Canada to a gold medal in the women's 8s in Tokyo.
Yeah, Martin, they're hitting the 3 Ls. They're long, they're loose, and they're low. They kind of keep it low in their bodies. It's not a big movement. Just keep it really nice and flat, drawing the boat out there.
Keep tuning in, guys, for Greg's alliteration. I think you come up with a different one every day. Anyway, here we have the Australians on screen. They're looking pretty good. If you're watching from Australia and you're worried about what you're seeing here, this is pretty much what we saw in the semi-final as well, so we shouldn't get too worried. It's only 500 metres in, but a great start here for the Dutch. They know that if they want to try and beat the Australians, they're going to have to try and get an early race lead.
And if you're watching over on the east coast of the USA, or the west coast for that matter, because Russia and Musnicki have been rowing out on the west coast at the California Rowing Centre, coached by Skip Keelt, Megan's husband. They are in bronze medal position.
Yeah, there's a lovely interview with Megan Musnicki on the World Rowing website, talking about the qualification, what it meant to her, particularly how good it was to be alongside Alison Russia, qualifying this boat for Paris, but now here they are racing for the medals.
This is a much better start for the Americans. They were quite slow in the semi-final and had that massive sprint to even make it through to the A final. We thought they were going to miss out at one stage there, but we never doubted, of course, Megan Musnicki's capability as a 2-time Olympic champion to be able to sprint that boat home with her partner, Alison Russia.
Well, I can't help thinking they're in a good position. If I was racing in this, I'd want to be in lane 1 or 2 rather than lane 5 and 6. We've had a consistent crosswind on this course earlier on in the week. We were hoping for really fair conditions here, but let's see how we're going coming up towards the 1,000.
And of course, Megan Musnicki and I think it was Jess Morrison raced as California Rowing Club in the Hambledon Pairs Challenge Cup at Henley last year. And she's come back into the sport. and now together as part of the Australian pair. The Dutch are flying out there, aren't they?
Yeah, look, this is a little bit worrying for the Australians. The Dutch have done exactly what they needed to do in this race. They've actually opened up clear water, which I don't think they did in the semi-final. I think there was always contact between the two. The Dutch up on 38 strokes per minute. They're keeping the boat moving really nicely in these conditions. The Aussies down a bit lower, down on about 35 strokes per minute, so it looks a little bit heavier through this middle section of the race. The Dutch leading by clear water coming through the 1,000. Australia in second, and in fact the Romanians have now moved through with a big push there in that second 500 into the bronze ahead of the USA.
Well, the Romanians took out the gold medal at the European Championships ahead of this crew from the Netherlands. The Netherlands are turning that around today, as we can see them still with that clear water lead ahead of the pair from Australia.
And they're so brave, the Dutch rowers. They came here and they did a lot of distance on the course, over 30k, I think, the first day that they turned up. They've toned that down through the week and tried to hit their peak at the finals, and they're doing that now. There's the Australian stroke woman, Annabelle McIntyre. She'll be cool, calm and collected. You don't get to be an Olympic champion without those qualities, but the 26-year-old from Fremantle Rowing Club will know she's under pressure in this third quarter.
Well, Annabelle McIntyre's going to need to make something happen now. They're starting to count down the markers. They're through the 750 to go. They'll see those red buoys and know that if they're going to make something happen, it needs to start going now. They're at 35 strokes a minute, and they've even got the Romanians creeping up on them.
Yeah, Romania moved into bronze medal position past Russia and Muzniki. What a great row from Ioana Vrâncineu and Roxana Angel in the Romanian boat. Still the Netherlands out in front.
And the Australians now the fastest moving boat on the course. They know they have to respond. We've seen the Dutch and the Romanians have been such a well-prepared team across all of their boats. Really, I think it's going to be a great championship for those two nations. But the Australians here, they are the favourites for this race. They've got to do something now.
Yeah, really do need to do something now. The Dutch looked a little bit more tired when we saw them there. You can see they're towards the side of their lane. It's a little bit of steering required. Those boys look like they're pretty close to the stroke side, but they're comfortably making their way into the last 500. Australia still clear water behind.
Yeah, it is possible to make up that clear water margin in a headwind, in a slower moving boat. Well, there's that low down draw, that fantastic rowing from the two Dutch women.
Morrison and McIntyre are going to have to move now if they want to take it, but the Dutch just keep covering their moves. It's been a perfectly executed race strategy here from the Dutch. If the Aussies want to get themselves into the lead, they've got to go now, but that is a huge margin to make up.
Well, it's still clear water. You can see the distance ticking down. We're coming up 350 metres to go. The Netherlands here, they're going to be hurting. They're going to be tired. It's a long race into a headwind. They've been lighter. They've been at 37 strokes a minute. Australia have only now got it up to 37 strokes a minute. Australia, I think, still have a lot to do when they hit those red buoys in the last 250.
Yeah, the Dutch have rowed those massive number of kilometres, though. That's what they've got under their belts. On that training programme they do. They're rowing fantastically well. Their technique hasn't faltered all the way down this course. Australia charging.
Australia trying desperately to make a move. The Dutch, they are still dominant, but the Romanians, fastest moving boat on the course, do they have time to get themselves back into this picture?
Well, the Romanians are clearly in the bronze medal position. We're looking at this race here for gold. The Australians are looking to try and claw their way back to an overlap with the Netherlands. The Netherlands are starting to shorten up a little bit, but I think the line is going to come in time for them. Probably only about 100 metres to the line now.
Inke Cleveling and Veronique Meester, the best pair on the course today, under pressure from Australia, but they've done enough in the first part of the race to take the gold medal. It is a fantastic win for the Netherlands, ominous for the races to come later today. But Netherlands take the gold in the women's pairs, and Veronique Meester shakes her hand. Australia do grab the silver medal, and Romania, Vrâncineu and Angel get the bronze. It was a marvellous, marvellous race from the Netherlands, and they have been brought to fever pitch perfection by their coaches.
Well, Sarah, you said it earlier, it's interesting, the Dutch crews look like they're really peaking well for these championships. Let's see how the story unfolds the rest of the day. But that's a bit of a surprise to see the Australians pushed out by the crew from Netherlands there.
It is a surprise to see the Australians pushed out of what we all thought was going to be a lock in terms of a gold medal, but It's a year up from the Games. It's their first World Championship back together since the Tokyo Olympic Games. But Jess and Annabelle, they won silver in the women's pair back in 2019. They pick up a silver today, but everything to fight for next year with the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and no doubt Josie Verdonschot, the American chief coach who looked after these women when they were in the four back in Tokyo, will be looking on with a degree of pleasure, even though the American women's pair did miss out on a medal. So Morrison and McIntyre couldn't quite close that gap. Meester and Kraveling, relief when they crossed the line, and you saw the reaction there, what it means to those two women to be world champions.
Clevering and Meester taking out the gold medal ahead of Australia and Romania. It was Ireland who crept up, Chile back in 5th, and the fast-starting Americans came over in that 6th position.